point of conceding that. And I would like to get a direct answer to that. Do you think that God has directly revealed himself to any human being on this earth during their short life on the earth? And if you're willing to agree that he hasn't, then all that I require is that you admit that this is a class of evidence that could be there. In other words, among the other two classes that you have so ably pointed out, this is a third class of what we'll call direct evidence that could be there. Now, why isn't it there? Well, we can debate that later on, but all that I want you to agree is that it is a class of evidence that we can look at, and our answer in looking at it right off the bat is no, there is no direct evidence of God's existence, which would require that he appear to some human being, more than one human being in fact, at the same time. And if you'll agree to those points, then I think we can move on.
First of all, I think yes, God has revealed himself, or did reveal himself to limited number of human beings. That limited number of human beings include only what I call messengers, prophets, and not all prophets even. Like if you go by the record in Quran, you'll say that no doubt that according to Quran that God revealed himself to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And then you can say that God revealed himself to a certain extent to Prophet Moses, So that's in that case, yeah, there is a direct revelation in part of God, and it is possible, and I believe that it happened, but I don't think that is, and in this case, that is the option for us as a human being, at least at the initial stage. We might maybe claim that you reach a certain level that you can find a way to directly communicate with God. That is possibility, but that possibility for us cannot, as long as you show us an evidence that you are the messenger of God. Even if you claim that you have communication with God, that cannot be, that cannot have any implication for me, because that is a private communication. A messenger, prophethood is a communication with the God in the name of humanity. So, and that's why that's different. So I don't really care those who claim they communicate directly with God, even if they come up with certain message, as if I have a certain benchmark to see whether they are the messenger or not. If they are messenger, I bear, in this case, pay attention to them. But yeah, for that, I think yes, it is a viable option out there. But for certain reason, we'll discuss later why that option, I will say, is not applicable to us. So that's why we will rule out this option. We will discuss why we should rule out this option. So we're not going to look at the way. I'm not going to look at the way and prove to you directly and say I will bring God to here or God come to here and actually directly reveal himself. We'll talk about the other option.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. That makes it a little more transparent what you're thinking. I think you are acknowledging then that direct appearance of God is one category of evidence that we could use in examining the question, does God exist? And I'm talking about God as some distinct form that we can see, touch, and hear right in front of us, just like another person were sitting across from us today at the table. And furthermore, not only could we do those things, see, hear, and touch God, he would perform tasks that would lead us to believe beyond a reasonable doubt that he is in fact God. That is, he has the attributes which you and I discussed earlier. So we would have to have some pretty good tests of that. Now, you seem to think that there are some human beings that have in fact seen God. You mentioned too, you think Muhammad and Moses did. But you have closed the door on this happening for you and me. You seem to think that you and I have no chance of meeting with God in person. So yes, we could debate later on whether or not Muhammad and Moses did have a meeting with God, and whether what they supposedly report counts as a meeting with God. One thing that seems unclear from much of what I read is whether Muhammad met with God or he met with Gabriel, an angel of God. And maybe you could clear that up. It's not an important point for us at this point, but if you'd just like to say one way or the other what you think, I think that would be helpful. Otherwise, I'm in agreement with the three major classes of evidence that could be used to investigate the existence or non-existence of God. That is, a direct meeting with him, 2, communications from him, and 3, what I call traces or products, things that he might have done or created that we could look at. I think those 3 are pretty good classes of evidence.
Yes, Muhammad, peace be upon him, met with Jibril most of the time, but he met directly with God as well. Particularly, we call the miracle of Mi'raj, ascending. It's mentioned in the Quran. That is and that was a direct revelation and direct communication. But most of time, majority of time, the communication happened through Jibril. Okay. And one thing I want to just clarify, it seems like you are describing the truth or the belief based on observation only. You see that you're basically saying that I believe only in things that I see. And I think that's what's common thing that most atheists do, but I think you will almost make me to say it will be hard to believe that you have a mind, because I don't see your mind, and it will be hard for me to believe in that you have a love for your wife or for humanity, for anything. So, and I think that there are many things that are not visible to our eyes, including some even material things that we can't see it, but we still, like, there are certain subatomic particles. We even with the largest machine, we can't really see them, but we can see some sign for them. We still scientifically think that it's reasonable to believe in their existence if there are compelling evidence showing actually they are there and they exist. So I think, and that's why reducing the reality to our limited perception of sighting is not a good way to look at it this age particularly. It could have been in all time, but not for now. I don't know if you want to answer that one, then I can move to the next topic.